If you're coming from a house like Hero, the expectations are much higher.
Whatever we do is a no-nonsense. It's to the point. It has a purpose.
The essential philosophy which sort of binds this all together is explore, experiment and execute.
Coming late or early, it's all relative now in EV because the party is just begun.
Motorcycles dance with physics. Four-wheelers or cars, they kind of fight physics.
A lot of customers, for them, fast chargers, the visibility was a key aspect. It just builds that trust factor.
Every 6 that KKR hits, we install a 6 kilowatt fast charger across the country.
I think the last 4 years, we've done a lot of that and there's a lot more.
This is not just another story of an EV brand. This is actually a very interesting one. It is the story of how the largest motorcycle manufacturer, Hero MotoCorp, has quietly built one of the fastest growing EV businesses in the country. Leveraging their large dealership network and manufacturing scale, they've managed to tackle problems that others have struggled with, like accessibility, manufacturing quality, and dealership networks. Well, this makes Vida one of the companies to watch out for. So here's their story. Every new chapter begins with a bold decision, and it's certainly bold when a legacy brand decides not to rest on its laurels and start up from scratch. So we caught up with Kausalya Nandakumar, Chief Business Officer of Hero MotoCorp's Emerging Mobility Business Unit, to understand the vision behind building an entirely new brand. Thank you so much for being here with us today and celebrating 1 year with you. That's really exceptional. It's been an amazing journey, and Hero being such a legacy brand, there was so much to draw on. And it would have been so easy to just make this a sub part of it, but it was decided to actually carve out an entire new brand. What was that decision about and why? Because it makes the journey a little tougher.
Fundamentally, I think Hero is like the foundation, right? Like Hero is the mother. All of the engineering prowess, all of the legacy of making products for 40 years. In a way, Hero is a nation builder, right? And then the idea was, how do we define what the future of mobility is going to look like? In the chairman's vision, the idea was, how do we kind of create a brand? How do we create a story that truly earmarks what future of mobility could look like? And it could challenge everything. And I think that is why it was important to create Vida, because Vida fundamentally means life.
Okay.
So in 2022, when he talked about Vida, he said, in a way, we are opening a new chapter in history for the brand, and we are going to take flight from here. I think the last 4 years, we've done a lot of that, and there's a lot more that we're going to share with you today and what we intend to do in the future.
What are the things that you really draw from the parent company?
Like, very few brands have been able to kind of weave themselves into the cultural fabric of a country, of a nation. Hero is one such brand, right? It's like literally the brand that every household knows. So we've obviously said powered by Hero. I think the second thing is Hero has I would say, best-in-class sales and distribution channel and service channel, 6,000 plus touch points. And they care as much about Hero as Hero themselves. And therefore, that channel has also now taken Vida as their new child. And we are like kind of leveraging that aspect. So it's this beautiful harmony. We've got people, we've got great processes that we've taken, we've got the brand, we've got the partners both at supplier end and at channel end. So we've got the privilege of actually belonging to the world's largest two-wheeler manufacturer.
Yeah, as a person who's also worked with a legacy company, moving to something like this where it's like kind of a fresh new slate, what's that experience been like for you and how liberating is it?
Hero is has such strong values. It's coming down from our Chairman Emeritus, Dr. Mohanlal Munjal, to Dr. Pawan Munjal, and it exemplifies those values in everyday working. So I wanted that blend. I wanted the grandiose, the clean slate to do something big with a group that genuinely believed in it and put money and might behind that intent. And I wanted to be rooted in the same values that I come from. Yeah. So I think that was the magical mix where I kind of felt this was the right place for me. Vida always believes in the hero principle of making technology aspirational and accessible, right? So we started with the family scooter format, which is what the Vida VX2 is. So I think we have a space. Each of us has a space. It's a very, very large market. We're just like at the tip of the iceberg. There's space for everyone. It's just true commitment.
So it's quite a facility you have over here. You have a test track, you have the R&D building, and it's quite vast. Like, how many people really work here?
So we have like a large facility here, give or take a couple of thousand people work out of here. We also have a technical center in Germany. It's called Hero Technical Center Germany in Rosenheim, not too far from Munich. So great mix of both global engineers, Indian engineers working together in complete harmony.
And a nice infrastructure to lean on. So is Vida going to remain committed to making all their products with battery as a service or removable batteries?
So I think we are committed to making batteries accessible. Now, this could mean giving a value-added services like a BaaS, like a battery as a service, where you could pay for the battery as per your use, and that can get evolved into many avatars. The second is removable. It's again one of our leading kind of what we believe consumers really need. So we'll give you that flexibility.
But tell me, being a latecomer to the market, because you were relatively later than a lot of others that have already been here, is it easier or is it tougher? Are you able to spot the gaps and say, oh, these are the ones we want to fill? Or is it more challenging because there's already established and better players out there, and you still have to work against that?
I think it's cup half full, honestly. I feel like we had the patience to actually look at what the market needs. We also had the commitment to bring in products that were differentiated. So we took our time to kind of build the first engineering element of the removable battery. We wanted to get that product right in the market. So I think for us, the patience worked out because in the last 1 year alone, we've almost doubled our market share. So it was important to get the right product. And if you're coming from a house like Hero, the expectations are much higher. So I think we did that right. I think coming late or early, it's all relative now in EV because the party is just begun. So I think we're kind of getting all our ducks in line. We're getting our technology right. And with Novus and Dirty and the rest of the products that come, I think innovation will still be like core to us. And we'll bring products that people are both excited about and aspire to own.
As CBO, what was the one biggest challenge you had to overcome?
So I think the first major challenge was getting all the right essence from Hero and still creating an identity that people aspire to own in the EV space. I think that was one. And the second, I think, challenge, or I would say opportunity for us, is a brand that makes the family scooter and makes the Dirty K3 and makes the Novus. How do you bring all of that into one single story? Because consumers are actually
identity,
kind of relating to each of the products very differently. So I think it's both an opportunity and a challenge that as a young brand, if you're already got a spectrum that is so differentiated, it's very important for us to kind of bring that entire story together.
As a legacy company, what is the one thing that you think that you have had the liberty to do that a legacy company may not have done? And the freedom to just go out there and imagine.
I think the freedom to fail, because I think we have privilege that we come from a house like Hero, but we are not scared of experimentation. So we've done a lot of experimentation on product, on services, on Novus, on Dirty. Who would have thought that a brand like ours could just think of a young rider's off-roading vehicle, and people would say, oh, it's so niche, does it even make sense to have something there? But for us, because we have so much of freedom to experiment and to bring innovative products, I think that's one privilege that we guard very closely in Vida.
And looks like a great bright future, and we hope we're back here soon with newer products and newer offerings from Vida, and talk to you once again.
Thank you so much, Vinita.
Thank you.
Very
Thanks
nice.
a lot.
Thank you.
The vision is only as strong as the product it delivers. Building an electric vehicle is about balancing innovation, affordability, and trust. And Varun Shahani, head of energy at Vida, told us how those decisions were made. As someone who handles product very closely, there's always a very delicate balance between innovation, which is something the company stands for, and affordability.
Absolutely.
So where does that clash happens the most?
I think you hit the nail on the head. Balance is key, right? We could give a 500-kilometer range, EV, but would people love the price point, right? So you have to give a great mix of both of them whenever you are giving a product. I think the magic happens when you are able to have a bit of innovation and a bit of affordability packed right in there so that we give a product that makes sense to the customer and is also very accessible.
And then you have to decide between a cost, right? Okay, removable battery, this is going to add cost. And so how do you take those calls where you decide that, you know, this is worth the investment or the cost to consumer?
I think in some of these products, you have to take the call looking at all the factors, right? We do end up talking to a lot of consumers, understanding the pain points they have, the needs they have. And then from there, we figure out, hey, what works for them in the environment that they operate in, and what is the problem we are trying to solve for them, right? And whenever we do that, we found success.
You know, when you have an ICE vehicle, making a refresh or a change is a little tougher. Here, you can offer updates. So would you say that making these changes is easier in EVs and offering the customer more or enhancing his vehicle is a lot easier in an EV than it was in ICE?
I think a lot of electric vehicles are connected in nature, right? So what you're saying is absolutely bang on. Like, yes, there are elements of this vehicle which are connected. So we have a mobile phone app that the consumer can use to see where his vehicle is. He can geofence it, right? And he can also see how he has been using his vehicle over time. So he gets a lot of data and understands his usage behavior, right? What this also allows us to do is to figure out, as like you're saying, as time goes on, if we figure out there's a better way or updates that can be made to the vehicle, those can also come onto the vehicle over time. On one hand, yes, the connected features make it easier, but on the other hand, the fact that you have so many controllers also means that the bar is higher.
When you have all these learnings and of course charging, which is the biggest anxiety of everybody in this country, how do you decide charging infra? How do you provide, you know, like fast charging services, where the points come up?
So when we launched in 3 cities. So we went into Bangalore, Jaipur and Delhi. So of course the first networks we put up were up in these cities. Because I think a lot of customers, for them, fast chargers, the visibility was a key aspect, right? So if you see a fast charger, it just builds that trust factor. So these things just unlocks the ease, you know, in the minds of the customer. So he can sort of bank on us and say, hey, we got you covered, right? There's no problem over here. So from that perspective, how do we decide is when we go to a city, we ensure that it's, you know, it's the chicken and egg problem, right? So we make sure that we've got enough chargers to keep the things covered. As time goes on, as you know, the vehicle park increases, we see how people are using, which chargers are the most busiest, where are people going, how is the traffic moving, which are the routes most heavily occupied. We put all of that data, and I think it's a balancing act. There's the science of data and the art of psychology. So the science of data tells us, hey, put these chargers here, and the art of psychology tells us, hey, make sure they're visible, right? Not just on the app, but on the road too. So we put all of this together and put a network out there. I think for Vida, the future definitely lies in a lot of form factors. So we have the VX2, obviously, which is very, very well suited for the family you know, segment. But at EICMA last year, we also showcased the VXZ, which is a collaboration with Zero Motorcycles, right? And this sort of hits the premium end of the segment. Riders looking for thrill, performance, right? We also showcased the concept Ubex, which is more of a playful supermoto styled motorcycle, which is built, you know, for the urban roads. We've also shown Dirty, our, you know, off-road lineup that's more on, you know, taking the thrill of on-roading and taking off-roading. And, you know, we're seeing the evolution of dirt bikes and also the K3, which is the young riders vehicle, right? Which we are also launched. We also have Novus that, you know, is there. So I think all of these sort of form a spectrum of solutions in terms of products. I think Vida has the ambition to sort of go for all of them. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
While engineering defines what a vehicle can do, design defines how people experience it. Teofilo Plaza Garcia, head of Industrial Design Studio at Hero MotoCorp, told us the thinking and the philosophy behind the design language that gives Vida its distinct identity. Thank you, Teo, for taking time to talk to us. And it's amazing to be in your little home here. And thank you for allowing us in, because I know how closely guarded these sections of companies are. Tell me, you had quite a history of designing bikes across companies as well. Earlier legacy players with a lot to draw on and take inspiration from. Here, it's like a blank slate, right? So it's an open book. How different is that, and where do you draw inspiration from then?
First of all, welcome to our creative space. every project starts with a white canvas or a white paper in our case. So that doesn't change. Whether you have a legacy, whether you have a heritage behind or not, that is not, is never a changing factor. What happens is that in terms of inspiration, designers, unlike maybe artists, we normally work with very defined frameworks. Essentially, the two main ingredients of that framework is brand and customers. If customers are above everything, so we have to analyze our customers, we have to understand their needs, what they want, how they choose product, what kind of design attracts them. If that's at the top of everything that we do, at the forefront, at the very beginning is the brand. So a brand it's a promise that people is loyal to. A brand has to actually give you a certain level of brand experience, and people buy into that. Then the products actually come afterwards. So a good design cannot betray the brand values. That is the very bottom line. So let me go back a little bit. We have two major brands in our company, which is Hero and Vida, which are clearly differentiated brands for the customer. They share a certain technological know-how. Therefore, we proudly say that Vida is powered by Hero, but Vida is an animal on its own. So what we have created is a design philosophy exclusively for Vida. It's called Optimotions. We have three fundamentals, which are, one is focused. So whatever we do is a no-nonsense. It's to the point. It has a purpose. Then it's clear, the second one. So clear is simply a sense of transparency, of honesty. So whatever you see is what it is. We cannot give any, let's say, unnecessary thrills or unnecessary gimmicks. And the third one is bright. And bright is simply because we make products and we have a philosophy that is reluctantly optimistic. So this comes from the very core origins of our brand, which we have a book called the Book of Optimism. And basically in this we define that our brand should simply bring joy to people, above anything.
Did you ever feel like there's a necessity to draw on some legacy of, the mother brand? Or was there an absolute freedom to do whatever you wanted with Vida since it was completely new?
No, the freedom is there. And that our chairman gave it to us very clearly. But that's the thing, with EV, with a new brand, you can deconstruct and reconstruct. Now, are you reconstructing something that has to be forcefully completely different to what is before? Not necessarily. So you can actually build back something that is mostly like before. But then that little margin is actually what makes the difference. So EV, because of its very simple nature, of technical nature actually, at least on the physical part, allows you to recompose the vehicle and redistribute the elements. And that gives us a lot of freedom to operate. And I don't think we have explored enough in the industry in general.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. It's
That's
been a
it.
pleasure, yes. Having explored Vida's engineering and design capabilities, we had to speak to Amol Chavan, head of Novus Labs at Vida, to find out what comes next. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us, and we see some amazing things here. But for our viewers, just explain what Novus Labs is and what does it do?
So Novus Labs essentially is our endeavor, first principle approach towards future of mobility. It started and was conceived under the direct patronage of our chairman, Dr. Pawan Manjal, where he created a safe space for us to really challenge the norms, really push the boundaries, and create a fail-safe environment with which we can take large bets. The essential philosophy which sort of binds this all together is explore, experiment, and execute.
How many ideas did you have? And then you said a few of them made it to the next stage. So
There were more than 20 ideas to start with. And all of them, went through a rigorous process of a very creative way of looking at things. So we do not only focus on the user, we also focus on the context, and not just looking at movement or mobility only for people, but also for products, not just for daily travel, but for purpose, for pleasure, and sort of looking at the entire landscape and finding these opportunities.
But with Novus Labs, do you work only on emerging mobility solutions? Or there are existing products, right, where you may have key development areas or key ideas. Does that also happen?
So essentially the mandate is that we focus more on the radical innovation bit, but even in the existing categories, if the challenge is that much big and if it can create an impact, of course that can also be taken. So what we speak of is that the context is more important than the category.
And how long does it take you from, like, say, drawing board, when you said, okay, we had 20 concepts, to actually getting them into this concept form out for people to see?
That's an interesting question, Renuka. As I said, one of the essential elements of this program is doing this and doing this at speed. From a stage where we did not know anything yet to this concept, everything was done in 5 months.
Wow.
And
That's
this is
incredibly quick.
Exactly. And with a very small team, core team, which worked with external partners and thought leaders to make this happen. And essentially, that's another, the USP of this program, which is that it's an open platform. It's a platform to promote collaboration, and we essentially insist that we have an outside-in approach for this, where we welcome people, institutions, and organizations who are like-minded, who want to disrupt the mobility landscape to work with us, and we work with them to create these kind of products.
Yeah, I see you have a lot of freedom to create and explore, and I'm going to let you and the cameras do the talking while you show them the products.
Perfect. So this is our first product from the phase 1 of Novus Labs. This is next one, and it's essentially a personal mobility device which doubles up as a backpack as well. It can take multiple terrains, it can climb stairs and pavements, because it's built on a technology which mimics a tank by having tracks on which it can run. This is our experiment on a trike. The use case or the context with which it started was, there are a lot of people who want the same fun and portability of a two-wheeler, a practicality of being able to carry a lot of stuff with them. That's where the next two came in, and it can package a lot of stuff inside it because there is a dedicated luggage space in the front. The best part is that the tilting mechanism in the front, which makes it so much more maneuverable. A four-wheeler concept called Next 3, and essentially it's a personal mobility device again for people who want the same compactness and agility of a two-wheeler, but without having to compromise on the weatherproofing and creature comfort of a four-wheeler. It is also something which is maximized for in terms of space for a single plus one user. It's a concept which can go into smaller lanes, but also can take you to the peripherals of the city or outside the city comfortably in a long range.
A great product is only half the story. The other half lies in how people connect with it. And Siddhant Vora, lead brand for Vida VX2, told us how Vida turns technology into stories that resonate with everyday riders. A rebrand.
Yeah.
Now that's not something a relatively new brand does that quickly. So what was the thought process behind this?
More than rebranding, right? It is an expression of who we feel we really are. Even if you look at the logo, or as we call it, the womb, it is a piece of legacy along with a piece of thrill. It's a story of parallel progress, and I'll explain. If you look at the left side of the hero logo, right, we took that pillar, we gave it a 30-degree tilt, catapulted it into a forward movement. We took the missing piece of the hero logo, we brought that forward, and together that confluence is the coming together of womb, is the coming together of the journey of legacy and innovation moving forward for perpetuity in parallel. So the good part about the new logo is the word mark stays. The word that we've built as a recall is the word Vida, right? That word mark is untouched and it stays. What's added is a feeling of thrill, excitement and optimism to it. So it's not a change, it's an addition to what we already had. I think the Vida brand is here to make aspirations accessible to all. So while the VX2 takes care of a large commuter segment, the Dirty K3 positioned as wild beyond the ride. We have these entire bunch of passionate motorcyclist parents, right? And the one thing that all of them want to do is ride along with the child, right? But something they've not been allowed to do yet, right? So, and that's what we're seeing in all our testimonials today and all the delivery stories that we're capturing today. For the first time, the son, the daughter, the mother, the father are able to ride together, right? Experience the thrill of riding. And that is the narrative behind the Dirty K3, basically bringing the family together and exploring the passion of something so pure at an early stage.
How do you decide what partnerships work for the brand?
I think the philosophy of any partnership is built on how transiently we can enter a cultural fabric of what we're trying to achieve. Whether it's KKR or whether it's KBC, what is the level of storytelling we're able to do, and how are we able to actually make Vida a household name for that viewing audience? We definitely don't look at it as a logo placement. And to give you a glimpse of some of these campaigns, every 6 that KKR hits, we install a 6 kilowatt fast charger across the country. So that was a pledge we took where we are showing real world impact. And that really performed well for us. It also brought a lot of customer trust and confidence in us. Not just that, even real world examples. We had a fan who was also a passionate rider write to us saying that he wants to do a test ride. And we said, why don't you do the longest test ride ever? It was a challenge we threw at him. And he actually traveled on a Vida VX2 to every city where KKR played. He traveled 12,000 kilometers on a single journey. And that also put the point across, right, that there's no barrier an EV can't solve. There isn't a range anxiety that exists anymore, especially with a Vida, because there's a USP of a removable battery.
Correct. When you have a product, let's say like VX2,
Right.
yeah, and you need to now make people aware, what's the kind of messaging and how do you decide on what it is? You know, does the team sit down and say, okay, these were the core values for the product?
Yeah.
Or do you decide, sometimes we see marketing or brand that's quite unrelated to the core values of the product.
Right.
So how does Vida do it?
So the core value of Vida is obviously built on the trust, scale, credibility and confidence that we borrow from Hero MotoCorp. So it started with how do we name this product? Obviously it's a noisy space. So how do you stand out? You start by first calling yourself differently. And there was this endless debate between do I buy an EV or do I buy a scooter? Right? And the thought was, why not buy the confluence of both? Right? And that's how we coined what we say e-scooter. What that essentially means is that this is one product that gives you the reliability of a scooter and the innovation of an EV. And how we brought that to life was also through a very innovative campaign built around the e-scooter, where we had two veterans who resonate these messagings. One was Anil Kapoor and one was Ranbir Kapoor, which was the confluence of wisdom and innovation, reliability and EV, right? And we got them together to debate it out, and end of the day both of them agree that yes, if there is one choice, why select out of the two, why not get both? Right? So that's how we brought the campaign of e-scooter to life.
Amazing.
That's the thought process.
It's fantastic.